ever Investacard podcast here at Investacard headquarters. Welcome live from Investacard here, and our first ever podcast. And man, oh man, we've been waiting on this, and here we are live from our studios here in Fort Lauderdale and hosting the show. And we are super excited to have Big Kev host the show, one of the originators, one of the first ever Investacard employees. Shout out to Big Kev.
Thank you.
Hosting the first ever Investacard podcast. My man.
Yep, first ever episode of the Investacard podcast. Excited to be here. Excited to get this thing up and going. It's not going to be your traditional podcast. We're going to talk about sports and sports cards, but we're going to add our own Investacard flair to it. We like to think outside the box. We like to do different things. So I'm excited to switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, outside the box. That's what we do here at Investacard. You know us. You've seen a lot of our shows. Of course, the Invest a Lot show, which airs every Monday night. The Investor Raw show, which you've been hosting with Amanda every Wednesday night. We've got more. We've got some other shows that we're producing. Lots of exciting stuff going on here at Investacard. Not only with the partnership program, because if you are not a partner yet with Investacard and you want to get your cards sold, whether they're raw, you want to get them graded, now's the opportunity to join the partnership program. But beyond the partnership program, man, all the shows that we do, we've got some exciting stuff coming up with technology and some announcements that we're going to make that I think are going to be able to take Investacard, to the next level. And what a week to start the podcast. Talk about the NFL draft is here. And I'm always super excited about the NFL draft. I know we've been talking about the NFL draft for how many years now? Every year it comes around. Of course, Kevin being a Jets fan and I'm being a Jets fan, we've had a lot of bad drafts over the years, right? Yeah. We've sulked. We've been on that phone together, after the first round pick over the last few years. Disappointed. But I think this year, of course, being a Jets fan, we always think that it's going to be different. This is the year, right? This is the year that we're going to find the quarterback, that we're going to find the running back, or the key wide receiver, or what have you. I'm always excited about the draft. I've been watching the draft for since I was 10 or 11 years old. It's what I look forward to. Growing up, I don't know about you, but I used to buy these magazines, right? The draft magazines at the store, at Publix, and when they first came out, and I would make my own mock draft, right? Watching the draft back then and watching it now is totally different because everything is online. There's not a lot of magazines, so you're looking at so many different mock drafts. But back then, I used to follow, of course, Mel Kiper Jr., right? Are you a big Mel Kiper Jr. fan?
Yeah, I mean, he's cool.
He's not for everybody.
What did I saw somebody? I think it was, I forget which GM, back in the 90s.
The Indianapolis Colts.
They select?
Yes, when they selected. I believe it was, instead of taking the quarterback, they took the offensive tackle, right?
Something like that.
I believe. And
I just saw the video the other day.
Yes, so that's a famous video. But watching Mel Kiper, and I used to order his draft book years ago, and you could only get it by mail because, it wasn't online back then. And it was the same draft book that GMs used to order. And he would sell it, right? And, of course, that's how he got super popular, covering the draft for many years and putting out this draft book. And general managers used to get it, and it was pages and pages of information on each and every player. And he did an unbelievable in-depth. So I'm always excited about the draft. I am looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are on the draft. I've got my top 5, and it's super interesting. I think that what the Jets are going to do at number 2, we all know Zach Wilson, right? But beyond that, it's still a mystery. So what are you looking forward to?
We all know who the Jets are taking with the second pick at this point. All signs point to Zach Wilson. Apparently, Philly tried to move up to 3, thinking that they might be able to draft Wilson, but they were told Wilson's not going to be available at 3. So Joe Douglas, having ties to Philly, people are making the assumption that the GM reached out to Douglas and asked him, if we move up to 3, is Wilson still going to be there? And they told him no. So Zach Wilson probably going at 2. I'm more intrigued with what we do at 23. If we go receiver, if we go offensive line, I think that's going to be a more interesting scenario. I'd like Elijah Moore because I think he's the best route runner in the draft. I like what he brings at the receiver position, and he's a Broward kid, so that never hurts either.
Yeah. I think my top 5 is going to be a little bit surprising. And like I said, I do a lot of homework on the draft. And my top 5 is based on where I think these guys are going to be over the next couple of years in terms of, where they're at in the NFL and what they're going to bring to the team. So my number 1 pick overall, my number 1 player overall in my top 5 is Kyle Pitts, the wide receiver / tight end out of University of Florida. Some say that he might go number 4, could go number 5, right? Could go number 6. So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls. But I think he's my number 1 player in this year's draft. Zach Wilson, number 2, of course. I think he's better.
Already a homer pick.
Yes, already. Well, I rate him higher than Trevor Lawrence. I think that's in the next couple of years he'll be, in a better position than where Trevor. Just my opinion. Jamar Chase out of LSU. I think he's my third best player in the draft. And number 4, Trevor Lawrence. Of course, he's going to go number 1 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got him at number 4, and number 5 is Panini Sewell, the offensive tackle there, which he might go to Cincinnati. So that is my top 5. You can comment and let me know what you think. But I've been watching this stuff for a long time, and usually the best player out of the draft sometimes is not the quarterback, right? So my pick right now is Kyle Pitts. If I had the pick, and the Jets, listen, if they didn't trade Sam Darnold, I think that's probably a player that they might have drafted if they didn't trade Sam Darnold and they were picking maybe 3 or 4. But that's where I would go. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, if the Jets drafted a tight end at number 2, I wouldn't be happy. But it's interesting to see that you have Kyle Pitts as your number 1 ranked player in the draft. I've been looking at the new this year's select redemption cards for this draft class, and the tight end 1, which will be Kyle Pitts, the redemption card just sold for $500. So it's interesting to see a tight end sell for that much. You don't even know what the card looks like. You have no idea what's coming to you.
Amazing.
It's select.
Yeah.
It's a Panini select, and it's Kyle Pitts rookie, but you don't know what team he's getting drafted to. So somebody's putting a lot of faith into Kyle Pitts. I was going to ask you if you bought the redemption card.
I did not buy the redemption card. You call him a tight end. You might as well call him a wide receiver because that's how he plays. But
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got all the confidence and he's got the swagger. So we'll see how that turns out over the next couple of years. What has turned out really good over the last couple of years has been Kevin, and of course this is our first ever podcast, and Kevin has been with Investacard since the beginning, right?
Yep.
We got to give him the background story, right?
Yeah.
Got to give him the background story.
Gotta go into it. I was in the office one day. Eddie used to have another company. I'm a big numbers guy, so I helped him with doing some things. Yeah, I would see mail packages, bubble mailers start to come in, and I'd be like, what's that? And, I'd start talking to Eddie, and he'd be showing me these sports cards. And I remember collecting when I was 9, 10 with my dad. We'd be going to Target, buying packs, ripping them open. So I was always interested. I got away from it as I got older. But, growing up and seeing the value in sports cards now at an older age, it was interesting. So love sports. And I think, when you can find something that you love to do and turn it into a career, it feels like a hobby almost every day that you come to work because, we love what we do. So
sure. When you love what you do and you have a passion for sports cards and you can, do this for a living and we can employ people, that's what our main goal here was at Investacard when we first got started. Originally when I first started this was to just invest in, high-end vintage cards and manage a portfolio of vintage cards and be able to flip them throughout the year and stuff. So, and of course we got into this and I saw that there was a lot more opportunity to build another platform because so many people out there that were collectors or investors that had cards but didn't really know what to do, right? Mm-hmm. How do you grade? How do you send over? You hear all these horror stories. So from afar, a couple of years ago, I saw this as a huge opportunity to create a platform, a service where we can, take collectors or investors' cards in raw and service them, get them graded, evaluate them, and when they come back, we would then market them and sell them, right? And we would provide a whole platform with proper reporting and fast payments. I saw a huge opportunity back in 2019 when I went to the National, maybe seeing all of this before it even happened, right? And of course, we all have those stories. Oh, I should have bought back then. I could have owned 10 Michael Jordans back then, and
bought a Mahomes for $300.
Why did I not save up all these cards and hold them? I was into selling. So, but back in 2019, of course, when you can get a Luka Doncic, at $70 or $80, or a Topps Chrome LeBron James at $1,100 or $1,200, and thinking, oh my God, I think that price is like way too high. Let me just buy one instead of buying three. Or I thought it was overvalued because he had just just left Miami, went back to Cleveland, and Michael Jordan cards, Kobe Bryant cards, and seeing all of that, go to the next level, and the whole hobby evolved the way it did. It's an amazing thing. But the goal here was to create a platform where we can service customers and provide a platform to where it would save you a lot of time. And the one thing that I learned is a lot of people love ripping cards, they love buying cards, they love going to shows, but they don't like selling, right? Mm-hmm. They don't like servicing, they don't like dealing with the customer service and eBay and doing all this stuff. So that's what Investacard provides. And of course, Kevin worked for my last company. At nighttime after his business day was over, he used to creep into my office and see what was going on, and he would see like the first bubble mailers come in. What's he got going on in here?
All the vintage baseball.
Yeah, a lot of vintage cards coming in, and of course he would give his 2 cents, and he would help out. And of course, early on, you saw Kevin in some of the early videos. He was helping out at nighttime. He would finish his day job, come to work for us at nighttime, and do some work, and he would creep. And I remember, back in 2019 when he came to me and said, I got a good investment for you, and it was like. He would come into my office, right, and he would creep and he'd put his head in like this, and it was like, "Hey Eddie, I got a good one for you today." And he would look and see what's going on in here. He would be looking, and seeing. He would see cards come in, and he started to see us pack up cards, and he saw the business evolve.
Now tell them who the good one was.
And in 2019, late 2019, he says, "I got a good investment for you, Eddie. I got a good one for you, man," and his cards are really cheap. So Kevin started to track these cards, and he came in and he says, "Buy Kobe Bryant. His PSA 10 tops is like, $300.
Yeah,
$300. Buy his Chrome. And you should look at some of his numbered auto cards. Buy up Kobe Bryant because he's going into the Hall of Fame, and his cards are going to go up, and a lot of Kobe fans in LA." So he came in, and of course, he had that advice. And back then, Kobe wasn't super hot. He had just retired. He was in retirement. Mm-hmm. His cards weren't moving. They just weren't compared to maybe LeBron and some of the other guys. And he came in, and of course, we went out. We bought some Kobe Bryants and some graded cards. And of course, the market, blew up, and everything went up. So Kevin was there from the beginning. He was there from day one that we started upstairs. And of course, pandemic hit, and we ended up, exiting out of our other company. And I came to Kevin and said, "Listen, we're going to start full time here. What about coming to work for Investacard? Let's do it." And he says, "Are you kidding me? Come to work, and sports cards, buy and sell sports cards, and have the opportunity to grow. Sign me up." So that is the Kevin story. There, he's been here from day one. He's got his own show right now. With the Investacard, the No Name Podcast. No Name Podcast.
Nothing.
That's right, No Name. It is the No Name Podcast, and we need your help out there to come up with a name for our podcast. And if we do select your name, man, oh man, do we have something really good set up for that winner right there. About me, and it might involve maybe bringing them down here, having them as a guest on our show. So make sure you comment below. And give us your opinion on what the name should be for our No Name Podcast. That's all I got for you on my side right now. I wanted to give you a brief introduction of how Kevin got started here with Investacard. We're proud to have him and appreciate all his support and his energy that he brings to Investacard. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, all this Kobe talk has me wanting to go into basketball now.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets clinched a playoff spot last night. What do you think of KD's value? And even like the Hardens and the Kyries. I know KD's the top tier guy of those three, but what do you think of the value going into the playoffs and even after the playoffs?
Well, I mean, just like LeBron last year, I think some of his costs, some of his prices are already built in. They're already built in based on them winning the championship. And I think as far as back as like a couple of Dallas shows ago, where KD was the hot card in Dallas, you were there.
KD in soccer.
Sure, KD. KD's the number one team in the East, right? Brooklyn, Utah's the number one team in the West. I don't know if it's going to end up that way. Of course, you know that I'm a Knicks fan, right?
Absolutely.
He's 100%. Yes, he's 100%.
I grew up
fan.
in the 90s watching the Heat and Knicks rivalry, and since the late 90s, I can't stand the Knicks. They are my least favorite team in basketball.
Well,
them winning is good for the league, though.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And we'll talk about one of those players in our later segment,
Solder
hold. But what I will tell you is, are they the number one team? A lot of injuries on that team. How are they going to perform in the playoffs? KD's value, I think. Listen, he was also an undervalued card. 12 months ago when he got injured, and a lot of people did the right thing and they bought when he got injured and held on to him. Especially some of those higher end, KD cards. But I think it's got more room to grow. Some of his stuff, especially if they go and win the championship. I'd like to see the Knicks knock them off, right? I'd like to see the Knicks.
You would.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are invested in KD. I would love to see the Knicks knock off the Nets in the playoffs, man, and that would be my dream. But right now, it looks like they're the front runner. They're the favorite. If it's not Brooklyn, who is it? If Brooklyn gets knocked off, who is it out of the East?
I mean, I'm not a believer in Philly. I think Milwaukee's better this year than they were last year, but I think they could still have some trouble. If it's not Brooklyn, it's wide open to me. I mean, I don't think Philly and Milwaukee are great half-court teams offensively. When it comes down to the playoffs.
If Brooklyn gets knocked off, somebody's got to make it to the East, right? Somebody's got to come out of the East.
Man, I mean, I'm a homer. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, you're going to say the Heat.
If the Heat can get healthy and get it all going together like they did in the bubble last year, they're going to be an issue. If Oladipo can come back healthy, Jimmy's good, Bam's good, Tyler's good, I think they've got a shot to surprise people again this year.
Yeah.
But it's all just going to come down to can they be healthy.
A lot of people like Philly. However, all that pressure the last couple of years was on Milwaukee to win with Giannis, and maybe the pressure's not on him this year. Maybe the eyeballs are not on them right this year. Maybe they sneak around, they sneak in there. Milwaukee is still someone that you got to worry about, especially with they got a good mix of players there. And speaking of Milwaukee, I'm going to give a sneaky investment.
Oh man, Eddie loves this guy.
Yeah, I'll give you a sneaky investment. Could be the future of the Milwaukee Bucks. And he played a little bit last couple of weeks. He had a really good game, but limited time out of Louisville. Jordan Noir. We've been picking up some of his rookie silver prism from the 2021 class. This year's prism silver and base raws. You can get them really, really super cheap. If you can find some of the silvers. We bought up some of them. So there's a sneaky investment for me right there. Jordan Noir. And you never know. Milwaukee gets to they make a run. They get into the Eastern Conference Finals. They let him play a little bit more. This guy can shoot. He's a small forward, 6'7", out of Louisville. Can shoot the three like it's nobody's business.
I mean, you saw what the one game did to Tyler Hero's cards last year.
Yeah.
So
there you go. And I'll drop some of these maybe in future, in future podcasts, and maybe you can come up with some sneaky investments as well. But there's a sneaky one right there, Jordan Noir. What else we got?
Yeah, staying with basketball, we'll go over to the other conference on the West. LeBron's nearing a return. Dennis Schroeder said yesterday that LeBron is close to returning. I'm interested in what's going to happen when he comes back because we've already started to see a little bit of a rise in LeBron cards from when they dipped the first time. So I'm interested. What do you think when he comes? Not only when he comes back, but throughout the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that players playing is always a good sign that he has an opportunity for his cards to increase. A player not playing, goes the other way. That's guaranteed. So, but it's LeBron James. He is the face of the NBA, right? And I think that his cards will start to move back up, especially if they start to play well. They've rested, and they could easily find themselves in the Western Conference Finals again, if not the championship, right?
Yeah.
Where will that chrome be if LeBron wins the championship again? Right now, it's hovering over that.
It's right around 24, 25.
Yeah,
right
24. Now. Does it go back up to 30, 35,000? That's the question. It's going to be interesting to see out of the West there. Who is it out of the West, right? It's the same thing. Who is it? If it's not the Lakers, who is it? Is it Utah? Can Donovan Mitchell take that team? Is it Phoenix with Chris Paul?
I would love to see Chris Paul get there.
Phoenix has been playing well. The West is going to be super exciting in the playoffs. Super exciting. Who's coming out of the West? You guys out there, who do you think's coming out of the West, right? Could it be the Lakers? Could it be Phoenix? Could it be Utah? Could it be a sneaky team like Denver, right?
Clippers.
The Clippers. Can't forget about the Clippers. Can't forget about, that's another team right there. Not a lot of eyeballs on them right now. The pressure's not on them. He's in his last year over there. Maybe he wants to win a championship on his way out. Him and his counterpart over there.
Talking about Kawhi and Paul George?
Paul George there.
You think Kawhi's leaving?
I think his contract is up, or he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, he just bought. How much was the house he bought in Cali?
I would love to see him in New York, or in Miami. Miami. I know that Miami would be a good spot for him. But boy, oh boy, it's going to be interesting to see the next few weeks. As we lead into the playoffs, how is it going to have a reflection on the sports card market? Because market's been up and down, but for the most part, I think a lot of things had to make its corrections, and some of the higher end GOAT players. I think those prices are right where they should be. Really, I mean, if you compare it to if you look at the last 12 months in regards to the return, I know a lot of people don't look at the last 12 months. They're always looking at the last 30 or 60 days. But if you got in, later than that, then you're looking really, really good. It's only been the last 60 days or so, and we saw that back in August, where it made a correction and then came back up. So We'll see if those LeBron Chromes can get back up to $40,000.
So you just spoke about high-end GOATs being right where they're at. So $5.2 million?
Yeah, LeBron James, $5.2 million. Shout out to PWCC platform right there for closing on that sale.
Yep, LeBron Upper Deck 2003 Exquisite Collection, RPA number to 23. BGS 9 with a 10 auto, $5.2 million sale.
Yeah,
it's big.
Congratulations to the seller. Like I said, PwC, congratulations to the buyer. $5 million for one card, right?
A card like that. I have a question for you on something like that. Is he buying it to keep, or is he buying it because he thinks the card will?
Who knows? I mean, who knows who bought the card? Is it an investment fund that bought it? Is it a hedge fund that bought it? Are they looking just to, take that card, and when it hits a certain target price, they're going to exit out of that card, whether that is $6 million or $7 million? Do they think that card is a $10 million card? It is the, numbered to what?
Numbered out of 23.
Numbered out of 23. So there's, 22 other. And what's interesting, and I had this conversation with someone else, is that where's the other 22 cards? Where are the other 22 cards? Where are the other 22 owners? Or are there some cards that haven't been pulled yet? That's the interesting thing. Right?
The 9.5 sold last year. I think it was last year. For or the beginning of this year, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but it was 1 point something.
But what if you were one of these guys that had one of these cards, and then that card just got sold for $5 million, and you're sitting on one? Let's talk about those guys, the guys that are sitting on the cards. And if they're, or even if they're around, right? And that's what I see interesting when I say, well, there's only, this card is numbered to 5, or this card is numbered to 3, or this card is numbered to 10. Where's the other 9 at, right? Yeah. I mean, when I heard about that story, I think it was on Sunday it broke.
Yeah, Sunday or Monday.
Sunday. And I was driving down Fort Lauderdale Beach, and we were going to go have some brunch. And on Fort Lauderdale Beach, they're always building, and they have this big, brand new Four Seasons, and it's right on the beach, and they have, signs up there for sale, or penthouses, with the amount of square footage it is, and it was like the penthouses said like, $2 million, right? $2 to $2.5 million. And I had just seen the sign when I just saw the sale for the $5.2 million LeBron James card, and I thought to myself, which one would you take? Which one would you, because you could get, two penthouses at the Four Seasons. Like, imagine that lifestyle right there, with the restaurants and the thing, and imagine the spa that they have and overlooking the ocean, right? That's what went through my mind, right? And that's an investment right there. Be interesting. Which would you take? Would you take two penthouses at the Four Seasons Hotel? At the Four Seasons, it's not a hotel; it's a luxury condominium, and or would you take that LeBron? That's the question, and that's what was going through my mind when I was on Sunday when I saw that. Just interesting, that I thought I saw it both at the same time. So, yeah. By the way, the brunch was good. Got to go to the W for brunch on Sundays. If you love Fort Lauderdale Beach, go to the W, Steak 954, and it's not super expensive either. But I'll tell you what, it's really a good Sunday brunch.
I'm taking the penthouses, by the way.
He's taking the penthouses.
So another big product dropped today. First ever UFC Prism.
Yeah.
Dropped today. Panini dropped the hobby boxes on their website. Retail boxes probably going to be stocking on Friday in stores. What do you think about that product? Like, where do you? I think the sport is only going to grow, and I think over time these boxes, the sealed boxes especially, who knows how much they can grow to. What do you think about the product?
The sealed, holding and flipping sealed wax has definitely been, a strong hustle within the hobby, right? Especially if you got in and you bought stuff from 2019, 18, and you held on to it. You were 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12xing, right? Yep. But I think anytime Panini comes out with a brand new product, especially a popular sport like UFC, I think it's always going to do good, right? UFC has got such a huge, a huge fan base. I mean, look at them. They were the first sport to have, to open it up to every, last week in Jacksonville, right?
Yep.
Full house, right? Full house. He definitely knows how to market. He definitely knows how to entertain, and that's what it's all about, right? It's entertainment, right? People love the entertainment. Look how many people came out to that Jacksonville. I'm surprised we didn't think about going, out there and that would have been some really good content. Yeah. A lot of stars, a lot of goats out there. But I think that the product is going to do well because of the fan base, right? Prism, it's a Prism product, first ever UFC Prism product. So yes, buying a box or two and putting them away, I don't think you can get hurt. I don't think the product's going to go down. I don't think it's going to be like watered down, where it's But I'm sure you're going to see a lot of the Instagram and YouTube breakers that are ripping UFC. That's going to make it more popular.
Yep.
But it's a popular sport, so thumbs up on the Prism. I can't wait to buy a box with a few of you guys and rip it and see if we can pull some bangers out of there. So a lot of hype in the UFC, and of course they just announced the official date of the Mayweather Logan Paul fight. Wanted to get your thoughts on it, and what I know a lot of people don't take it serious, but it's supposed to be a big money fight. Logan Paul versus Mayweather, and why this kid should get the opportunity to fight the greatest in the world. Do you think it'll take place? And what do you think the results will be in that fight?
I mean, I think if they're announcing it, I'm hoping it's going to take place. It sounds like, is it June or July 6th in Miami? I don't remember the date.
Yeah, it's June.
What do I think? I think Logan Paul was breaking cards, Pokemon, and now he's gonna go into the ring and get broken by Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous to me, honestly. I'd rather see him fight Jake Paul, the guy who's been boxing.
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't understand. That's what I don't understand about. Yeah, I know you got the two brothers, but it seems like Jake is the better boxer, or has maybe a better chance to beat.
Well, as good as Floyd
is. The weight class and. The weight class is a big, difference between Mayweather. But why would Mayweather get in the ring and even put himself at risk to even potentially lose? Can you imagine? I mean, the guy Maybe the fight doesn't go off. Maybe it's just publicity. But I'll tell you what, Miami, for them to have the fight in Miami, talk about Miami, and we're going to talk about Miami after this next segment here because we got some exciting stuff coming up in Miami. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this Mayweather-Paul fight. It's just all a lot of social media hype. But that's what makes money. So
yeah, it's a lot of even the Jake Paul stuff. It's like, I mean, you're fighting Ben Askren. Yeah, he's a professional fighter, but the guy showed up like more out of shape than he's ever been. He got knocked out and looked happier than anybody who's ever been knocked out before because he just made $1 million. I mean,
but you do got to give credit to Jake because he's going through the whole process. He's training, right? He's boxing. He is doing his thing, right?
Yeah,
he's just not. He's in shape. He's getting in there.
So
you got to give him a little bit of credit. Whether or not he should have the opportunity to fight some of the top guys, I think his take on it, is look how much money that these guys are making that are fighting Jake Paul, and they're not making it in the UFC, right?
Ben Askren probably made more in his fight against Jake Paul than he made his whole, I think 2 or 3 fights he fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand why
they're
doing it.
Yeah, good for the city of Miami, right? That's a big fight. That's going to be a big weekend in South Florida. Boy, I'll tell you what, Miami's going to be the place to be, and I know that not to get off subject again, but we do want to announce just a couple of weeks ago, the governor signed off on sports betting here in the state of Florida. So
exciting.
That is exciting, and regular casinos, but sports betting in South Florida at the Hard Rock and at some other facilities that will have a partnership with the Hard Rock. That's going to be exciting over the next year, I guess, real soon over the next year to put that and see that how it comes into play. But Miami, I'll tell you, you can come here, you can gamble, sports bet, you can go to a casino. What's next, right? What's next for the state of Florida? I think the big 3, right? They say the sports betting, the casinos, and the cannabis, right? So lots of opportunity for the state of Florida, over the next couple of years, because I think that the Hard Rock won't be the only casino here in town in the next couple of years. I hear the Fountain Blue Casino is going to get a casino, and that one of the most famous destinations in Miami Beach is the Fountain Blue. So good things coming up for the state of Florida.
Yeah, excited.
Sold or hold?
Yeah, let's get into that. I know you got your guy. We're gonna do sold or hold once a week. And, go ahead.
I got a good guy here. Of course, we talked about the Knicks earlier. My sold or hold, and this is a definite hold for me. And I know they've been winning, but his prices have been going down, right? R.J. Barrett, Prism, 2019 Prism rookie, PSA 10. Yes, got a big pop on it, of course, but currently right now the market's around $150. The market's been down, right, on a lot of these.
Yeah.
A lot of these slabs from the 19, 18, 19.
Especially base.
Yes, the base cards have been down. There are a few, that have been up, but most of them have been down over the last couple of months. And it's interesting. I was listening to another podcast last night, and they were saying how maybe over the next year or two, a lot of these slabs for these base cards, it's going to become the junk wax era for slabs.
Yeah. The
junk wax era for slabs, because we have so many slabs out there.
Shout out to Sasha who said that.
Yeah, Sasha said that, and that was it was actually pretty interesting. I don't know if that's what's going to be, but it was interesting to look at it. I think that the whole thing with PSA, and eventually when they get caught up, the price is going to be. Some of these cards are going to be outpriced. Yep. You're not going to be able to send them in for grading. So maybe some of these cards go the other way. Maybe they go back. Maybe they go up more in value, and they don't become junk. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But hold on R.J. Barrett, $150 market value. And when you compare R.J. Barrett to some of the other key rookies from the last couple of years, Zion Williamson. Zion at $700 for the PSA 10, give or take. Luka Doncic at $1,100 or $1,200. It was holding steady for $1,300, $1,400 for a long time. It's around $1,200, right? Right, Luka versus R.J. Barrett. Michael Porter Jr., he's been a hot guy over the last 60 days. Everyone,
especially with Murray out, more opportunities.
Yeah, his card is around $300, I think, somewhere in that range, $250, $300. So R.J. Barrett is even cheaper than him, and Trae Young, you've seen his cards drop drastically. His cards are at $330, $350, but they were up $500 or $600.
They were
Kevin.
close to $600 in February.
So a lot of people say, well, this card is down, and I'm looking at the chart here. It's down, but I think it's huge value. This is a 100% hold for me. R.J. Barrett. Don't be surprised if the Knicks make a serious run in the playoffs. What do we got? Who's your hold? Or sold?
First show. You know who I had to. It's first show.
Yeah.
You know who I got to. This guy. Everybody knows this guy. Everybody knows. If you've watched our lives before, you know how I feel about this guy. He's the third greatest shooting guard of all time, and I'm going to give you a stat if you're not familiar with it already.
Here we come.
Kobe Bryant's best shooting season.
And this is no disrespect to Kobe Bryant.
No, absolutely not. Kobe's the second best shooting guard of all time. Dwayne Wade's the third best shooting guard. So I'm telling you, yes, Kobe was better, but this guy was more efficient. That's all I'm saying. So Kobe's best shooting season was Wade's 11th best shooting season, which is nuts to me. And I think he's still incredibly undervalued. His Topps Chrome PSA 10 is going for $3,000 right now. That's come down a little bit. I think he's got his Hall of Fame induction 2023. That's going to be a great class, too. He's going in with Dirk and Tony Parker. You've got the Big Three documentary. Whenever that's going to come out, they're coming out with the Big Three documentary, the way they revolutionized the game. So I think there's just a lot of things going on with Dwayne Wade in the future. The ownership now with Utah, minority owner, just bought some stake in Utah Jazz. So I think he's got a lot going on outside of basketball. And then you add what's going to come in the game of basketball for him, with like I said, the Hall of Fame induction. I think Wade is a hold or a buy right now. Whatever you want to do, I think the value on Wade is still
across the board, whether it's Topps Chrome, Topps Base. I know you're sitting here with a beautiful future All-Star die-cut Upper Deck 2003. Try and get a 10 on this card. I mean, this super low pop card right here. So anything Dwayne Wade is a hold right now. I would agree on that. 100%. Having these guys in the spotlight like Dwayne Wade, whether he's an owner, he's on TV,
on TNT,
it definitely influences his card value. I think it does. It definitely does so much more than someone that is not in the limelight, right?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Shaquille O'Neal, guys like that, So sort of good, interesting stuff. We are live from Investacard here on the first ever Investacard podcast hosted by Kevin, and we have some really good plans set up, obviously, for more shows. Obviously, we're going to have some guests on. We're going to try and bring on some guests, in-house guests, to sit with Kevin and talk sports, right? Talk sports cards, what's up, what's down, what's around, what's going on. And, of course, speaking of sports cards and what's going on, we got Miami this weekend. We are going to be live from the 305 in Miami. The whole team, myself, Kevin, Kanakar, and everybody else, we're going to be front and center down there in Miami. Shout out to Summertime Sports Cards, Anthony over there, the promoter, and Courtside Card Show, one of the largest shows in Miami in over 20 years.
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to see how they've come and how far they've come in just 3 shows. This is their third show, right? Third show?
Yeah, I think so.
Third or fourth. Yeah. But they were running it out of a little gymnasium, second floor of a church, and now they've upgraded to a huge hotel down on the water in Miami. So
the Hyatt.
Exciting to see the progression in the show, and I'm excited to see how this one goes.
Sure.
The last couple ones, as small as the venue have been, they've been packed and they've been really good.
They've been really good. We've picked up some really good partners there that have signed up. We've found some really good deals, a lot of good networking. Anthony and his team has done a great job of building this up down here. Running the show is not easy, and producing it and satisfying everyone, not just the dealers but the customers that come in. We are going to be live from the Hyatt Miami Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we have a special Invest-A-Lot show set up, Kevin, for Saturday night. We're going to be live in a private suite. We're going to set up a studio in a private suite there on Saturday for a special Invest-A-Lot show, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. if you got cards and you're coming to Miami and you see this podcast here, if you're coming to Miami, we're going to be set up accepting consignments at the show all Saturday afternoon. And then after the show, they can come up to the suite. We'll have someone up there that is signing up new partners, taking in your cards. We'll get them sold the same night. Full reporting. You'll get paid super fast on those. So if you're coming to Miami, stop by the Investacard booth. Join us Saturday night for the 10 p.m. live show from Miami. And if you're not coming to the Miami show and you can't get there, well, we're going to bring the Miami show to you with lots of content on Saturday, Friday night. Yep. It's going to be a fun time there. It's always fun going to the shows. But of course, our most important motive is to network, grow the brand, grow the business, generate sales there at the shows. And the whole team at Investacard is excited to come. And Kanakar has done a great job. Got to give props to Kanakar for getting this first podcast up amongst all the other things that he does, getting all the shows that are produced and everything. That's Kanakar in the background. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get Kanakar as a guest up here.
Oh, I need Kanakar as a guest.
Got to have Kanakar up here as a guest to tell his Investacard story and how he got started here with Investacard.
And he has to show his collection.
What is the schedule for the No Name Investacard podcast? What's the schedule? What are we looking at?
So today's Wednesday. We did it today because the day before the draft we wanted to do some things. But going forward, we're looking to get it up every Tuesday, every week, at least once a week. We'll be up and running. We're looking to get it out on Tuesday, Wednesday the latest, but definitely aiming for Tuesday.
Sure.
Every Tuesday.
So the No Name Podcast, make sure you comment below. We're looking for the name for the podcast. And if we take that name from one of our followers, right?
Yeah.
We got a great prize for them, right? Great prize, which includes maybe flying you down here, you being a guest on the Investacard podcast.
You get to sit in the same chair that Eddie's sitting in right now.
That's it. Spend a day with us here at Investacard. I think we got some exciting stuff coming up for the Investacard podcast. I think Kevin's going to do an unbelievable job hosting the show. We are live from Investacard. Kevin, I appreciate you having me on here at the first show. Let's end this
I got something.
Your way and the only way, right after our first ever No Name podcast. And
got something.
Should I get my glass?
You might not need it for this.
No?
Maybe.
As always, invest!
Oh man, this is tough.
With the best! With Investacard, I appreciate everybody joining in here. We will see you guys soon.